You're listening to the CyberWire Network, powered by N2K.
Ideal mesmo para o mundo atual seria fazer o ensino médio junto com o curso técnico, certo? É no Senac que o aluno tem autonomia de verdade, formação cidadã, foco na diversidade, preparação para o Enem, material didático sem taxas e muito mais. Na real, tem tudo que você precisa para se sentir preparado para a vida. Seja para entrar no mundo do trabalho ou te ajudar a decidir o que fazer na faculdade. Quer saber? Senac. Vem comigo! Acesse sp.senac.br/ensino-médio-técnico.
Hey everybody, Dave here. I want to talk about our sponsor, LegalZoom. You know, I started my first business back in the early 90s, and what I would have done to have been able to have the services of an organization like LegalZoom back then. Just getting all of those business ducks in a row, all of that technical stuff, the legal stuff, the registrations of the business, the taxes, all of those things that you need to go through when you're starting a business, the hard stuff, the stuff that sucks up your time when you just want to get that business launched and out there. Well, LegalZoom has everything you need to launch, run, and protect your business all in one place. And they save you from wasting hours making sense of all that legal stuff. Launch, run, and protect your business to make it official today at LegalZoom.com. You can use promo code CYBER10 to get 10% off any LegalZoom business information product, excluding subscriptions and renewals. That expires at the end of this year. Get everything you need from setup to success at LegalZoom.com and use promo code CYBER10. That's LegalZoom.com and promo code CYBER10. LegalZoom provides access to independent attorneys and self-service tools. LegalZoom is not a law firm and does not provide legal advice except where authorized through its subsidiary law firm, LZ Legal Services, LLC. The feds take down the PopeyeTools cybercrime market. 5 alleged scattered spider members have been charged. CISA warns of critical vulnerabilities in VMware's vCenter server. Global AI experts convene to discuss safety. MITRE updates its list of top 25 most dangerous software weaknesses. U.S. and Australian agencies warn critical infrastructure organizations about evolving tactics by the Bien Lian ransomware group. A new report looks at rising threats to the U.S. manufacturing industry. Researchers at ESET uncover the Wolfsbane Linux backdoor. A pair of malicious Python packages impersonating ChatGPT went undetected for over a year. A data breach at a French hospital compromises the medical records of 750,000 patients. On our Industry Voices segment, our guest, Avihai Ben-Yosef, Simulate's co-founder and CTO, joins us to discuss the evolution and outlook of exposure management. And AI pimping is the scourge of Instagram. It's Thursday, November 21st, 2024. I'm Dave Bittner, and this is your CyberWire Intel Briefing. The U.S. has shut down the cybercrime marketplace PopeyeTools and unsealed charges against its administrators, Abdul Ghaffar, Abdul Sami, and Javed Mirza. The platform, active since 2016, facilitated cybercrimes by selling stolen financial and personal data, tools for fraud, and educational materials on cyber attacks. Authorities seized $283,000 in cryptocurrency tied to illicit operations and multiple domains, including PopeyeTools.com. PopeyeTools served thousands of users worldwide, generating an estimated $1.7 million in revenue from stolen data belonging to over 227,000 individuals. Its offerings included payment card data, bank account details, phishing tools, and scam templates, priced as low as $30 per card. The platform even provided refund policies to maintain customer loyalty. The administrators, based in Pakistan and Afghanistan, face charges carrying up to 10 years in prison, though no arrests have been made. Visitors to the seized domains now see a law enforcement notice. 5 individuals, 4 Americans and 1 Brit, have been charged for their role in corporate data breaches and SIM swap-enabled cryptocurrency thefts. Allegedly part of the hacking group Scattered Spider, also known as Octo Tempest, the group targeted companies like Caesars Entertainment and MGM Resorts, often collaborating with the Black Cat Alpha ransomware gang. From 2021 to 2023, they conducted phishing campaigns, tricking employees into revealing credentials by impersonating IT staff or sending fake password reset messages. These stolen credentials allowed access to sensitive corporate data, including personal and proprietary information. The group also carried out SIM swap attacks to gain control of victims' phone numbers and cryptocurrency wallets, stealing millions in virtual currency. The defendants face charges including wire fraud conspiracy, aggravated identity theft, and other crimes. CISA has issued a critical alert about 2 vulnerabilities in VMware's vCenter server. The first is a heap-based buffer overflow, and the second is a privilege escalation flaw. Both vulnerabilities allow attackers with network access to execute remote code or gain root-level privileges, posing severe risks to virtualized environments. VMware has released updates and mitigations with a remediation deadline from CISA of December 11th of this year. Organizations are urged to act promptly to avoid significant security breaches, given vCenter servers' critical role in managing infrastructure. President-elect Donald Trump has vowed to repeal President Joe Biden's AI executive order. Those specifics remain unclear. Meanwhile, global experts convened in San Francisco this week to discuss AI safety, focusing on combating deepfakes and fostering international collaboration. U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo emphasized that safety promotes innovation and global trust in AI. The Biden administration's AI Safety Institute has gained support from tech giants like Amazon and Microsoft, advocating voluntary standards over regulation. While Trump criticizes Biden's approach, his AI policies during his presidency also prioritized trustworthy AI, indicating some continuity in strategy. Experts believe AI safety efforts will likely persist regardless of leadership changes. Raimondo stressed that AI safety transcends politics, underscoring the importance of preventing AI misuse by malicious actors while fostering responsible innovation globally. MITRE has updated its CWE Top 25 Most Dangerous Software Weaknesses list, highlighting trends in software vulnerabilities. Cross-site scripting now tops the list, followed by out-of-bounds write and SQL injection vulnerabilities. Other issues like CSRF, path traversal, and missing authorization rose in ranking, while flaws like incorrect default permissions and race conditions dropped off. New entries include exposure of sensitive information and uncontrolled resource consumption. CISA and MITRE urge organizations to adopt secure-by-design practices and integrate the CWE Top 25 into security processes to reduce vulnerabilities and enhance resilience. U.S. and Australian agencies have warned critical infrastructure organizations about evolving tactics by the Bien Lian ransomware group. Active since 2022, Bien Lian has shifted from double extortion tactics to solely exfiltration-based extortion, threatening to leak stolen data if ransoms aren't paid. The group, likely based in Russia, uses advanced techniques for initial access, persistence, and defense evasion, including exploiting public-facing applications, renaming binaries to evade detection, and exfiltrating data via FTP, rclone, and Mega. Bien Lian's targets include U.S. critical infrastructure and Australian private enterprises, with recent attacks leveraging proxy shell exploits and ngrok for command and control. The FBI, CISA, and Australian Cybersecurity Centre recommend measures like auditing remote access tools, restricting RDP use, limiting PowerShell access, and implementing application controls to mitigate risks. Organizations are urged to act swiftly to prevent breaches and data theft. The U.S. manufacturing industry, vital to the economy, faces rising cyber threats as it modernizes operations. A report from Abnormal Security notes that ransomware and advanced email attacks have surged, with phishing incidents increasing by 83% and business email compromise attacks growing 56% between September of 2023 and 2024. BEC schemes often exploit urgency to deceive employees, while vendor email compromise attacks, up 24%, trick victims into paying fraudulent invoices. High-profile attacks, such as Clorox's $356 million loss from a ransomware incident and Orion's $60 million stolen in fraudulent transfers, highlight the financial and operational risks. Attackers increasingly leverage AI to craft convincing emails, bypassing traditional defenses. Experts recommend adopting AI-driven email security solutions to detect anomalies and block advanced threats, safeguarding manufacturers' operations and supply chains against costly disruptions. Researchers at ESET uncovered Wolfsbane, a Linux backdoor attributed to the Gelsemium APT group, marking their first known Linux malware use. Wolfsbane, a counterpart to Gelsemium's Windows-based Gelsavirine malware, is designed for cyberespionage, targeting sensitive data, maintaining persistence, and evading detection. Its advanced features include custom libraries for stealthy network communication and sophisticated command execution. Alongside Wolfsbane, researchers found Firewood, another Linux backdoor with possible ties to Gelsemium. This highlights a growing APT focus on Linux systems as attackers adapt to improved Windows defenses and the rise of Linux-based infrastructures. Organizations must strengthen cross-platform security strategies to counter these evolving threats. Two malicious Python packages impersonating tools for interacting with ChatGPT and Claude were discovered on PopeyeTools, remaining undetected for over a year. Targeting developers eager to integrate AI tools, the packages mimicked legitimate libraries while embedding scripts to exfiltrate sensitive data, including API keys and credentials. This incident highlights the risks in open-source ecosystems and the challenges of securing repositories like PopeyeTools. Developers are urged to audit dependencies, verify package authenticity, and adopt best practices to protect against these sorts of threats. A data breach at a French hospital compromised the medical records of 750,000 patients, exposing sensitive details like names, birth dates, addresses, and medical histories. The attacker, known as Nears, claimed access to over 1.5 million patient records across multiple French hospitals through a compromised MetaBoard account. Softway Medical Group, the provider of MetaBoard software, clarified that the breach resulted from stolen credentials, not software vulnerabilities. The attacker is selling access to MetaBoard accounts for several hospitals, including sensitive healthcare and billing information and patient record modification capabilities. While the exposed data hasn't been sold yet, it could be leaked online, increasing risks of phishing and social engineering. The affected hospitals belong to Aleo Santé, suggesting a single privileged account breach led to widespread access. Softway emphasized the attack exploited standard software functionality, not errors in implementation. Coming up after the break, my conversation with Avihai Ben-Yosef from Simulate. We're discussing the evolution and outlook of exposure management, and AI pimping is the scourge of Instagram. Stay with us. And now, a word from our sponsor, KnowBe4. It's all connected, and we're not talking conspiracy theories. When it comes to InfoSec tools, effective integrations can make or break your security stack. The same should be true for security awareness training. KnowBe4, provider of the world's largest library of security awareness training, provides a way to integrate your existing security stack tools to help you strengthen your organization's security culture. KnowBe4's Security Coach uses standard APIs to quickly and easily integrate with your existing security products from vendors like Microsoft, CrowdStrike, and Cisco, 35 vendor integrations and counting. Security Coach analyzes your security stack alerts to identify events related to any risky security behavior from your users. Use this information to set up real-time coaching campaigns targeting risky users based on those events from your network, endpoint, identity, or web security vendors. Then coach your users at the moment the risky behavior occurs, with contextual security tips delivered via Microsoft Teams, Slack, or email. Learn more at knowbe4.com/securitycoach. That's knowbe4.com/securitycoach. And we thank KnowBe4 for sponsoring our show. Do you know the status of your compliance controls right now? Like, right now. We know that real-time visibility is critical for security, but when it comes to our GRC programs, we rely on point-in-time checks. But get this. More than 8,000 companies like Atlassian and Quora have continuous visibility into their controls with Vanta. Here's the gist. Vanta brings automation to evidence collection across 30 frameworks like SOC 2 and ISO 27001. They also centralize key workflows like policies, access reviews, and reporting, and helps you get security questionnaires done 5 times faster with AI. Now that's a new way to GRC. Get $1,000 off Vanta when you go to vanta.com/cyber. That's vanta.com/cyber for $1,000 off. Avihai Ben Yosef is the co-founder and CTO at Simulate. In today's sponsored Industry Voices segment, we discuss the evolution and outlook of exposure management. So today we're talking about exposure management, the evolution and outlook when it comes to that. How do you describe what exactly exposure management is?
Well, I would like to even start with kind of even expanding on those two words, which is, I think, like even the Gartner kind of definition is like continuous threat exposure management. So we usually kind of shorten it down, nobody want to say so many words, but they do give more into what is exposure management. So it's first of all, it is a continuous process of identifying exposures, but the whole idea of continuous threat exposure management is not stopping there. It's not only about identifying the exposure, it's understanding the threat behind these exposures or the potential threat behind these exposures. And the idea that it's a process, identifying is not the only thing out there. You need to also prioritize the different exposure, which is pretty much a very key factor into like the CTEM program, the prioritization of those different exposures. And then once you have prioritized, you're going to the next phase, which is validation. It's actually, understanding that these exposures are indeed the most critical one that are the most relevant to the threats that, you are concerned with or that are more relevant to you. You can validate is whether or not any security controls that you have deployed are compensating control to an exposure. That's really what the validation phase means. It really puts that validation piece as a very key component because a lot of the security around our environment is based on security controls. We invest a lot into security controls, and that's a key component into exposure management. Your efforts in the security controls as part of your security and exposure management is just It's not always so easy, but like how much is your security controls, in average really adding to your security posture um, or your security in general? And the numbers are there. The numbers show that, a fine-tuned security control, a well-deployed security control is very large multiplier of your security. So this entire process, the idea is it's really to give the ability for security teams to manage the whole process of the real exposure in your environment, in your company, and therefore kind of creating that cycle, that loop proactively. And at the end, the goal is of course to reduce risk in the most efficient and smart way that you can get out of.
And what does that look like? I mean, for someone who engages with a company like yours or one of the many companies who provide this, how exactly does it work?
There were a lot of different approaches to like implement exposure management. Some of them took different paths, and we took, I think, a very unique path. I believe that we've chose to kind of focus on that validation stage, and what we've also understood that most exposure management, platforms out there are more focusing on identifying the exposures. But what we saw is there is a very big gap, and the gap was that all of those companies they identify exposures in their environment, but they're not taking into account that they've already built a lot of different kind of defenses or compensating controls, as I like to call them, around these exposures. And if you don't take those compensating control into account, then your whole prioritization is off. Um, your whole like the last stage is mobilization, is actually to take action on those exposures. That will be off as well, and you're kind of going and still staying in the old generation. Okay, but we want to jump to the next generation. We want to understand and provide context of the full picture. And what we've seen is that when you add that layer of defenses that they have already built around their environment and exposures, everything is shuffled. The entire prioritization changes, all of the program changes, and then what I've seen, in this market and with the users is that that reduces a lot of frustration. When you want to manage your exposures, take control of this process and really get the most out of it. But in order to do that, you really need to see the whole picture. And I think that's what our approach comes with. And that's why we believe that the validation stage is like a very key factor in this program.
And I know you advocate a multi-step approach here. Can we go through that step by step and describe why that's important?
The exposure management is like a multi-step program. So the first step would be like what we call scoping. So that would be the first step of understanding perimeter of the exposure management. Like, what do we want to see? What are we concerned? What is the size of the team? We need to take that into the account. There is also a capacity that you can actually meet. Then there is the discovery stage, which we believe, there are a lot of different kind of exposure discovery products out there. They're all doing a great job. We believe in integration, so we are integrating with those products in order to actually ingest all of the different exposures. The next one will be that validate stage, which is what we are very good at. That's our mode, and that's where that next layer of security defenses. Everybody has built. Companies are spending millions of dollars on different kind of preventive or detective security controls that they deploy, to stop threats and attacks. And once you have that data and you actually simulate attacks and validate which one of those actually succeed or not, this can bring another layer into that equation. The next one would be analyzing all of that data. So once you analyze it, start correlating, because there are a lot of relations between the security controls that you have deployed, the actual exposures that exist in your environment, maybe the threat landscape that changes all the time. And then once you analyze all of that data, you can create a very contextual prioritization program, and really reduce a lot of like back noise, a lot of different noise, maybe things that you don't need to handle because you have the right things in place. Reduce that noise, focus on what matters most, and take them and go to that next step, which is to actually remediate. You can even remediate in different ways. You can, fine tune a security control. You can, patch a vulnerability, upgrade a library. There's different things you can do, but once you take that very, multi-step approach and you contextualize it and correlate between all of the different things, you can even offer various remediation activities because that's it. It's not binary anymore. It's all on, it's all a multi-layer approach at that point.
Hmm. Is AI playing a role in exposure management these days?
For sure, yeah. So I would even say that's what I also believe that AI is taking. I would say probably is taking roles in a lot of things, but in exposure management, it can definitely help a lot. So first thing, an AI is something that really helps scoping. It's not always so clear to everybody, what are the threats that they should be more concerned of, or which are the areas, or like what is the capacity that they can handle. Like AI can be a really good helper in the scoping area, which is like the first stage of the exposure management. But not only that, AI can help with exposure management strategy. It's very useful for creating a validation strategy and a validation plan. We use AI to generate attacks from building blocks. So it's not like a full red teamer creating new attacks from scratch, but he has like a lot of building blocks that we have built for him, and he can start a mix and match between those building blocks to create like a very specific attack simulation.
What are your recommendations for folks who want to go down this path?
It might be like a new concept, but it's still based on concept that they're already familiar with. So first of all, of course, I believe that you need to jump into the water and there's nothing to be scared of. It's things that you're already doing. But my recommendation is not to look at the exposure management cycle as like a very linear program, like step one, step two, step three, step four, step five. No, you can definitely start with step three if you want to, and then go back to two and one and to four and five, because that's a cycle. Okay, it's the idea is it's a continuous threat exposure, man. It never ends. You can definitely start with one of the stages that you feel most comfortable in right now. You can start somewhere, and then really from that point create the methodology and the program around it.
That's Avihai Ben Yosef from Simulate. And now, a word from our sponsor, NordPass. NordPass is an advanced password manager from the team behind NordVPN, designed to help keep your business safe from data leaks and cyber threats. It gives your IT professionals control over who has access to your company's data and makes it easy for everyone else on your team to use strong passwords. Right now, you can go to www.nordpass.com/cyberwire for 35% off the NordPass Business Yearly Plan. Don't miss out on that. And finally, 404 Media and Wired explain the bizarre world of AI pimping. On Instagram, AI-generated influencers are taking over, using the stolen videos and likenesses of real models and adult content creators. These digital imposters slap AI-generated faces onto real human bodies, creating eerily realistic content that's used to drive traffic to dating sites, Patreon alternatives, and apps. Known as AI influencers, they're created with off-the-shelf tools, promoted with guides like AI Influence Accelerator, and monetized on platforms like FanView and OnlyFans competitors. The scale is staggering. Investigations uncovered over 1,000 AI-generated accounts, some explicitly identifying as virtual models, while others deceive users by hiding their AI origins. Creators like Chloe Johnson amassed large followings and posted deepfake videos using stolen content from real creators, such as TikTok models and runway shows. These accounts sell explicit content while pretending to be original creators, causing harm to the real people whose likenesses they exploit. Real influencers like Elena St. James say they're now competing with bots that have flooded Instagram, tanking their engagement metrics. Reporting impersonators doesn't help. Instagram often penalizes the whistleblowers instead. St. James noted that creators already struggle under Instagram's harsh moderation rules, which disproportionately affect adult content creators and make impersonation even harder to combat. Critics argue Instagram benefits from this mess. The platform profits from engagement with these accounts, whether real or bot-driven, by selling ads against the traffic. Without stricter controls, experts warn this AI-driven content explosion could reshape social media, making authentic human influencers a shrinking minority. Influencing used to be about personality. Now it's about having the best AI-generated cheekbones money can buy. And that's the CyberWire. For links to all of today's stories, check out our daily briefing at thecyberwire.com. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like our show, please share a rating and review in your favorite podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to cyberwire@n2k.com. We're privileged that N2K CyberWire is part of the daily routine of the most influential leaders and operators in the public and private sector, from the Fortune 500 to many of the world's preeminent intelligence and law enforcement agencies. N2K makes it easy for companies to optimize your biggest investment, your people. We make you smarter about your teams while making your team smarter. Learn how at n2k.com. This episode was produced by Liz Stokes. Our mixer is Trey Hester, with original music and sound design by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. Our executive editor is Brandon Karpf. Simone Petrella is our president. Peter Kilpie is our publisher. And I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow. The IT world used to be simpler. You only had to secure and manage environments that you controlled. Then came new technologies and new ways to work. Now, employees, apps, and networks are everywhere. This means poor visibility, security gaps, and added risk. That's why Cloudflare created the first-ever connectivity cloud. Visit cloudflare.com to protect your business everywhere you do business.